The diplomatic station orbited the neutral zone between human and Vorthan space, a gleaming monument to interspecies cooperation, built from both human steel and Vorthan crystal composites. Commander Jake Morrison had served aboard the station for 2 years, long enough to grow accustomed to the sight of his alien colleagues and their distinctly different approaches to daily life. The Vorthans were tall, elegant beings with crystalline skin that shifted colors based on their emotions and environmental factors, standing nearly 8 feet in height with limbs that moved with fluid precision. Today marked the anniversary of the peace treaty signing, and the entire station buzzed with preparation activities for what would be the largest diplomatic gathering in recent history. Representatives from 12 different worlds would attend, requiring meticulous coordination of dietary needs, atmospheric preferences, and cultural protocols. Jake found himself assigned to work alongside Kira, a Vorthan cultural attaché whose skin typically displayed cool blues and purples. Colors he had learned through careful observation indicated professional focus and calm determination. They had worked together countless times over the past 18 months, coordinating cultural exchange programs and translation protocols between the various species represented on the station. Jake had developed a deep respect for her methodical approach to problem-solving and her vast knowledge of both human and Vorthan customs, as well as those of several other species. She possessed an encyclopedic understanding of diplomatic nuances that had prevented numerous potential incidents. She never seemed flustered, never lost her composure, and maintained the same steady professionalism that characterized most Vorthans he had encountered during his service. This morning, however, something was decidedly different about Kira's presentation. Her crystalline skin held an unusual pattern that Jake had never witnessed in any Vorthan, warm golden threads weaving through the typical blue base, creating an almost luminous effect that seemed to emanate from within her cellular structure. The golden patterns seemed to pulse gently with their own internal rhythm, catching the station's carefully calibrated artificial lighting and throwing tiny rainbows across the conference room walls. Jake had studied basic Vorthan physiology during his diplomatic training, but had never encountered documentation of such coloration patterns. They were reviewing seating arrangements for the evening's celebration dinner when Jake glanced up from his tablet and noticed the remarkable display. The patterns on her skin had grown more intricate, resembling delicate filigree work that shifted and evolved as he watched. It was genuinely striking, and he found himself momentarily distracted from the guest list they were organizing. Without thinking, Jake looked directly at her and spoke with characteristic human casualness. "You look beautiful today." The words left his mouth before he could consider their implications. He had simply stated an observation, the way he might comment on pleasant weather or an attractive piece of artwork. It seemed like a natural thing to say. Kira's reaction was immediate and startling. The golden threads in her skin flared brilliant white, then rapidly cycled through a spectrum of colors Jake had never seen on any Vorthan. Deep crimsons, vibrant oranges, electric blues, and shades that seemed to exist beyond normal visual perception. Her tall frame went rigid, and she stared at him with an expression of what appeared to be shock. For several long moments, neither spoke. The color patterns continued their wild dance across her skin, gradually settling into something resembling silver mixed with pale green. Jake realized he had somehow committed a significant cultural error, though he could not fathom what it might be. "I apologize," he began, setting down his tablet. "I clearly said something inappropriate. I meant no offense." Kira remained silent, her skin continuing its unusual display. When she finally spoke, her voice carried a tremor he had never heard before. "In 300 cycles of life," she said slowly, "no being has ever spoken those words to me." Jake felt confusion replace his initial concern. "What words?" "That I am beautiful." She paused, her skin shifting to deeper silver tones. "Among my people, aesthetic appreciation is considered a private internal experience. We do not speak of another's appearance, particularly not across gender lines. It is considered presumptuous, invasive, and inappropriate." Understanding began to dawn on Jake. He had inadvertently violated a cultural taboo, yet Kira did not seem angry. Her skin patterns suggested something else entirely, something complex and difficult to interpret. Moreover, she continued, her voice growing steadier, Vorthons do not typically find beauty in our own kind. Our aesthetic sense is oriented toward geometric precision, mathematical harmony, and functional efficiency. The concept that my appearance, these chaotic color displays that indicate emotional instability, could be considered beautiful, is completely alien to my understanding. Jake leaned back in his chair, processing this revelation. So, when I said, "You look beautiful," I was essentially telling you something that your culture considers both socially inappropriate and factually impossible. Precisely. Kira's skin had settled into a soft golden hue, less intense than before but still unusual. Yet your species routinely offers such observations to one another, correct? All the time, Jake confirmed. We comment on appearances, clothing, expressions, changes in demeanor. It's considered polite, friendly, and caring. We think it's important for people to know when they look good, or when something about them is pleasing to observe. And you genuinely perceive beauty in the patterns my skin displays. Jake studied the gentle golden luminescence that seemed to make her entire being glow with warm light. Absolutely. Right now, you're giving off this incredible golden radiance that's unlike anything I've ever seen. It's mesmerizing. Beautiful. Doesn't even seem like a strong enough word. The golden color deepened, and for the first time since Jake had known her, Kira's typically formal posture relaxed slightly. This is most perplexing, she admitted. Your words created an emotional response I lack proper terminology to describe. The concept that another being could observe my appearance and derive pleasure from it, then feel compelled to share that observation with me, is completely outside my experiential framework. How does it make you feel? Jake asked gently. Kira considered this carefully. Valued, perhaps, seen, acknowledged as more than merely functional. She paused, her skin now displaying subtle shifts between gold and pale blue. Is this what humans call being appreciated? I think so, yes. They sat in comfortable silence for several minutes, both contemplating the unexpected cultural exchange that had just occurred. Finally, Kira spoke again. Jake Morrison, your species possesses a remarkable trait. You actively seek beauty in unexpected places and feel compelled to acknowledge it openly. This behavior would be considered inefficient and disruptive among Vorthons, yet it has created an experience I find myself reluctant to end. Jake smiled, understanding that they had just bridged a gap between their species that went far deeper than diplomatic protocols or trade agreements. Maybe that's something worth exploring further, he suggested. Kira's skin bloomed into warm golden patterns once more. Perhaps it is.